Hi guys, my name is Cielo Villarroel. Hi Professor Eduardo. I am making a presentation about the class film called Mulholland Drive. I'll try to make this under 5 minutes. But anyways, it's directed by David Lynch. It is a neo-noir film that has thriller, mystery, and drama. Now, the film does include a lot of surrealism. It talks about the beginning of the film, the red sheets, the red dancers in the beginning of the film. It's used red as a color, symbolic as well. It could, yes, represent love and passion, but it could also represent danger and obsession. Anyways, in order to better suit the American audience and their expectations for what successful actors and actresses in movies should be, I watched and read the screenplay twice of Mulholland Drive, and they have similar plot lines, but what makes them different is the ending. In the screenplay, there is a different ending. So instead of the original scene of Betty shooting herself after she is being haunted by the elders and the voices in her head, the screenplay shows Betty and Rita standing in front of the Hollywood sign and just embracing the moment. And of course, the zoom in of the figure that has red eyes and has covered face of black. Now, after analyzing the film categories, I would say that there are 3 specific examples from the film. Okay, so the first example that I can use is the diner scene when Herb or Dan, one of them, gets scared and passes out when they get jump scared by the figure, the beast. Now, what can the beast represent? Ego. It could represent evilness, or at least something that can prevent us from succeeding. And that's exactly what happened to Betty, commit suicide. Now, with Rita, it's different. There's an attempt of murder. She survives the car accident. But when it comes to Betty finding out that Rita is sleeping around with the director after she witnessed both him and her kissing, she builds up that ego and that jealousy and hatred towards them, that there is a hitman that she hires in order to murder Rita. Now, the second example would be the blue key and box that the hitman promises to put on the table as a representation that the hitman has successfully murdered Rita. Now, the hitman beforehand, he escapes a murder after being incompetent and weak to do a simple task, murder a man. Now, we can see that the murder does not go well. He accidentally shoots a woman who is next to him, and the nail surpasses her. And also, there's another guy who witnesses that, who is the janitor. The point is, when all this fumbling and incompetence of a simple task, it really and simply just represents the guilt that Betty felt after she had just hired a hitman. And the key was there on her coffee table, just waiting for her. Now, the last example leads to the ending, death. Now, when I mean that the key was waiting for her, it means that after the attempt of opening the blue box was like a Pandora box moment, literally. You welcome death. You welcome that guiltiness and the death that you have to pay the price with. In terms of the ending, the 2 elders haunt her, leads her to killing herself. Now, these type of themes do serve a purpose when it comes to how they are embodied. There is control, there is jealousy, there is ego, there is guilt, there is murder, and there's dream and death that play a role of mixing what is reality and what's also a dream, of what Betty wanted from the beginning and how one stole her dream, which is Rita. Now, with cinematography, these examples that I'm about to give you is something that's really amazing. There's a lot of fade out, there's a lot of cut to another scene, but one of them is flashlights. It kind of represents evil, and the camera movement through a gap can represent beginning into a new world, or entering a dream, or ending it. Now, for fragmentation is really related to absence of visual information. What's interesting is that the editing piece was edited by the third wife that David Lynch had, and she did a very good job when it comes to the fade away, the cut to the other scene, and also transition from dream to a nightmare, and the close-up, obviously, of the figure. When I think of the figure, I don't just think about the ego, the evilness that's within Betty. The other character that is seen as a prostitute that's called Lucy after the hitman asks her a question. It's mentally unstable, not clean, and confused. But from there, she asks for a cigarette, which can represent addiction. Now, for the sound and music, it was directed by Angelo Badalamenti. For the art design and costumes, I do think that the blue and the red have a good significance. So, in the end, of a woman all dressed in blue saying silencio, and the key in the box that are blue represent what is death and the relationship that Betty and Rita had.